Ay, no mames. Ay, ay, let me get a good stretching. Ay, ay. It sounds like fucking mummies, bro. I sound like a mummy. I sound like my soul just left my body. Oh, I sound like Pirates of the Caribbean. Dead men tell no tale. That's what I sound like when I'm stretching, bro. Ew, and then just coughing directly after. What's wrong with me, bro? I'm breaking down. I'm reaching. Coco has a joke. We were working out yesterday, but way prior to yesterday's workout, Coco always had a joke where he's like, just wait till you hit 26, bro. He said, just wait till you hit 26. Everything's going to be squeaking. It's going to need some WD-40 or joints and shit. He said, random stuff's just going to start hurting and stuff. And I was like, man, you bugging. And then yesterday we're hitting shoulders and my shoulder hurt, bro. And it wasn't like a muscle pain. It was like a joint pain kind of thing. And I was like, oh, it hurts. And Coco was like, that's because you're creeping up on 26, bro. What have I been telling you? Just wait till you're 26. You're creeping up. You're creeping up. The end days are near, my brother. The end days are near. Count your blessings and count your days because the end is near. That's what Coco told me. So that's what I got to look forward to. And I'm already feeling a little bit of those repercussions, bro. I'm just squeaking. I get up like an old person, bro. I get up like I have like knee pain and stuff. Thankfully, I don't have any knee pain, but I get up. It takes me a while, you know? When you used to just boom, spring up, you just spawn up, bro. When you were like a kid and when you're younger, you got more youth and spunk to you. But now I like, it's a fucking event when I have to stand up, bro. It's a day-long event. Oh, getting up out of my seat, and I sound like a fucking Wookiee. Anytime I need to get up out of my seat, bro. But it's because 26 is creeping up on me. But until then, I guess I'll enjoy my youth. I'll enjoy the last 2 months, month and a half of being 25 and having my youth to me. Ooh. But anyways, guys, sis, that's not how I wanted to start the podcast. I feel like the last 4 or 5 podcasts I've gotten in this seat, bro, and how I intended to start it, went way south. Well, I went up and I said south. Went south, bro. It took a left turn. It was like, it was a fork in the road. It was like how you intend to start the podcast, babosadas. And I'm always like, this looks enticing. And I look at the babosada sign and I just, that fucking meme of the car that's, and then he speeds off into the other lane. That's me. I speed off into babosadas when we could have just kept it pushing on track. But what do you expect now from La Frequency? Nothing's really ever on track, bro. We end up at the same outcome. The nuggets get portrayed and laid across. The babosadas get spoken softly, sometimes loudly. Sometimes I scream the babosadas. But all the information gets laid across. But it's how we get there that's different every time, you know? There's no real structure to this show. I was thinking this shit earlier. This is actually something I wanted to talk about was the podcast in general, because I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately. Ever since I deleted Instagram and all other social medias, and then I downloaded Instagram as I was telling you guys to reach out to a couple artists that I'm trying to collaborate with. And then after like a day or two of seeing my screen time skyrocket again, seeing myself, it was like third body. I was outside of my body staring at my lifeless vegetable state of a body, scrolling social media in that chair, scrolling on IG, wasting fucking time, bro. So much on my plate, so much shit I gotta do, wasting time. And so I said, fuck it, I'm deleting this shit again. So now I don't have any social media again. And in doing so, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately. And I think it's interesting because I had Dario on my last podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed that, man. It was so much fun having him here, bro. He's one of my best friends. So it was cool just picking his brain about production in the EDM scene and what it's like, what are the realities of being a musical artist these days. musical artist. I said that shit like he's the lead in Hamilton or something. Like he's in the Book of Mormon. I believe type beat. But no. It was a pleasure to have him. But prior to that podcast, we had been hanging out a couple of days, and I remember he told me one time, we kind of touched briefly on it in the podcast, but it was like, he was saying, I don't really listen to EDM anymore. And I was like, I don't really listen to EDM either. And he goes, yeah, and like all the bass music and stuff, he goes, a lot of it is very similar. He's like, there's not a lot of originality surfing around right now. And these aren't exactly his words. I'm kind of paraphrasing, or I'm but he was basically saying that he doesn't really use reference tracks or likes to listen to a lot of the genre that he makes anymore, because he feels like he starts working his projects into a direction that's not him authentically, and it's not what he's trying to portray. So he's like, so I just don't even listen to it. And when I sit down to make a project or a product or a song, he's like, it's 100% original. It's all me. He goes, I know what I want. I know the sound I want, and I don't want it to get tainted or skewed by whatever's relevant in the scene right now or whatever's popping. He's like, I don't care about that. He's like, I want to make an authentic Slang Dogs track. And I was like, that's fire. And when I really thought about it, I was like, my podcast was kind of the same way, bro, because I was heavy into listening to podcasts at the start of 2021 and really my whole life since 2015, bro. Like I said, this has always been a dream to start this podcast, but I would always have a podcast playing in the background. I first got into the JRE. I feel like that's everybody's starter podcast. That's like the first podcast you listen to is a Joe Rogan Experience. And even still now, it's one of my favorite podcasts. But I remember when I lived with Coco in the Tahunga days, bro, I would have that playing nonstop, just off my phone while I was cooking, while I was showering. I'd play it over my Bose Bluetooth speaker. I don't know why I had to throw the whole brand name. Shut up, Bose. This ain't promoted, or this ain't marketed by them. This ain't sponsored by them, but that's just what I use. That's what I use. But I would play a bunch of podcasts through that speaker. And ever since like 2015, bro, I would just kind of listen to podcasts. And when I started my own podcast, funk, completely cut them off. I didn't listen to any podcast really last year. I think starting it, I was like, and you can tell if you listen to my first couple where I was like, it's trial and error. That's the name of my pilot EP, was Trial and Error. But I didn't want to be a fucking copycat mirror image of some other podcast. I was like, I know what it takes to have a podcast, just a nice little decent setup, some microphones, and that's really all I copied. I copied like, obviously I wanted it to look professional, so I took notes in that aspect from podcasters that I look up to. But after that, I was like, I want this to be 100% authentically and originally me. And I kind of have a general consensus of the stuff I want to talk about. It was a lot of self-improvement, mental health, making men better and stuff like that. And I was like, men and women, bro, just people in general. I was like, I want to elevate people and make them feel better about themselves and have them tackle their goals and not be afraid to push themselves in social settings, in their career, and their goals with health and fitness, whatever it is, bro. I want people to envision a life that they see themselves living and help them with the steps that it takes to get to that life. Introduce them to better habits, to better skill sets. Introduce them to different ways of thinking that can get them out of the realm of just feeling average or feeling like a fucking NPC, That's all I had written down for this is how I want my podcast to go. And I could have easily jumped into 1,000,001 other podcasts and see what they were talking about and grab their topics and talk about them and do all this stuff and mimic them is what I'm trying to say. I could have had 1,000,001 other podcasts to reference, but when I started this one, I shut that shit off completely. And that's because, like I said, I wanted this to be original, man. And I feel like it was, I wouldn't even say rocky. The rocky part at first was just figuring out my new equipment and stuff. Like, I didn't know what the fuck this was. Luckily, this was easier because I'm a music producer already. This shares a lot of similarities with a lot of like MIDI controllers and keyboards, and like I know what the faders do. I know what the buttons do. This was very easy to learn. The camera was a whole new aspect and avenue for me, bro. I had never recorded myself doing anything besides on my phone, little Snapchats and Instagram stories and stuff. That was the extent of my recording history. I would try to make little home videos back in the day, but even then it was like on my phone, or I had a GoPro. And I remember I only made one video with my GoPro. About that shit in high school, bro. And I was like, I own a GoPro now, bro. I'm going to be deep sea fishing and scuba diving and jumping off of cliffs and wingsuiting in the squirrel suit and parachuting and doing all this crazy X Games shit and living this amazing, crazy lifestyle now that I have a GoPro. And I recorded one video of me skateboarding with my friends. And yeah, but since then I have done a lot of those things. I have gone skydiving. I've been not scuba diving, but I've gone snorkeling. I've gone like, not parasailing. What's the other one? Jet skiing, but the other one where you're like on the glider and you're attached to the boat, bro. Hang gliding? No, not hang gliding is the one in the sky. That's crazy. I can't think of the name, but I'll throw it up. I've done it. But when I was doing that stuff, I felt no need to record it. Because back in the day, it was like, I want to record this and show it off. And now in my life, it's like, I did this for the experience, for the thrill, for the fun. But I don't need to show it off to get some weird clout points or to get some brownie points or something. There's no reason for that. Like the other day, I got this tattoo, bro. Sorry, I'm kind of going on a tangent from my original spiel, but I got this little tattoo, bro. I'll throw it up. It's a plant with nipples. And the story's funny because Kale, one of my best buddies out here in LA, Kale was like, hey, it's my birthday. I'm just going to be throwing like a little house party, but my tattoo guy's going to be here if you want to get anything. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool. And so by the time it was my turn to get a tattoo, I'm sitting down in the chair, and it's not even a chair. I'm laying down on a bench, like this nice little polyester, like cushiony pink bench that like Kale's girlfriend has because they live together. And I'm laying on that in the kitchen pretty much where like the dining room table would be, but there was no dining room table. They moved that shit basically in his kitchen, getting tattooed. And to the left of me is a whole fucking house party happening. There's people drinking, there's people socializing, they're playing games, yelling. My homie has an Oculus Rift, so like there's this little section where people are like VR boxing in like the virtual world and the metaverse, bro. There's this whole crazy house party, and I'm just getting tattooed. And then I told Coco that, and he was like, bro, that's the most LA thing ever. He's like, you should have just recorded that, put it on your story or something. He's like, that's so LA. That's like cool. You should have posted that. And I was like, I wasn't doing that experience to post anything. I was doing that experience, enjoying the moment, actually living in it. Why do I want to show that off, you know? That sounds cool in theory. I'm sure to other people who aren't from LA or aren't used to that lifestyle, which isn't even a crazy lifestyle, but it's just, it is something dope, I guess. When he brought it up, I was like, I guess that is cool, but it's like, I wasn't doing that to show it off. I didn't get this tattoo to be like, look at this tattoo I got. I got this tattoo because it was my friend's birthday, and that's what he wanted. He was like, I want me and the homies to get tattoos at my birthday party. I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, down. But it's like, this was a weird way off tangent, and this is kind of something I've been learning now that I don't have social media, is like, I'm going to post the content I want on YouTube, content I like to make. This podcast, I love to do. These YouTube videos that I'm putting out, they're so much fun, bro. And I'm learning so much with every video I tackle. I'm either pushing myself with like my camera presence and being comfortable in front of the camera. I'm sitting down to learn about new topics, and actually, like, I just did a video about dopamine. And it's like I had to listen to, I mainly used notes from the Andrew Huberman podcast, but even while I was studying for this one video that I was going to make, this like 8-minute long video, I was completely dived in and surrounded by just a bunch of dopamine knowledge and learning and taking in all of this knowledge. And it was cool. And I'm feeling more fulfillment from that. I'm feeling more fulfillment from actually devoting myself to a purpose and devoting myself to something that I enjoy doing than trying to take all of this and somehow turn it into a thing of showing off. Like, oh, look at this tattoo I'm getting at this party. Or look at me, like with the GoPro scenario I just did. Like, oh, look at me skydiving. When I did go skydiving, what do you think the first thing I did after was? I took a bunch of pictures and posted them on IG. And it's like, that's kind of what everybody does, bro. You do something cool or miraculous or crazy that you think puts you in a position where you're better than others. And you want to promote and flex that. And that's I don't want to say cool, but it is cool in terms of like elevating your social value. That's another thing I'm big on, is elevating your social value. And that's one way you can do it, is like by posting your accolades and your accomplishments and all this stuff. But when you live a life that's geared and tailored to only posting and living or reaching accolades just so you can flex and post them, that's when I think it's fucked up. You should be doing it out of a desire to want to be better and a desire for a better life, not a desire to show off or show that you're better than everyone else or flex, I guess, really is the best term I can think of right now. My brain's a little scattered, so I'm gonna take another sip of the cafecito time. But anyways, that was a complete 180 tangent that I had no idea I was gonna talk about. But back to my original story, bro. When I started this podcast, there was no reference tracks. Like I said, I could have dove into a lot of those podcasts that I'm currently now diving into and enjoying. And enjoying. I feel like the one drawback, the one con, obviously with every decision you make, there's going to be pros and cons. One of the cons is there's so much, like I was just saying, there's so much information and knowledge and stuff you can learn out in the world that's absolutely free. Like literally listening to podcasts. I'm listening to a lot of like neuroscience podcasts. I'm listening to a lot of obviously self-improvement podcasts. I'm listening to a lot of just different ways of thinking in life, because I want to be versatile. I don't want to be boxed into my own thoughts and beliefs and stuff. I feel like life is kind of like crafting your own toolbox. This is some advice that was given to me when I was going to Icon Collective, was like, every teacher here is a music producer and they're all killing it in their own aspect, but not every teacher here is going to teach you the same thing. He said, what one teacher might tell you works for them may be the complete opposite for another teacher. And it's going to be the same with you guys as students. What works for you may not work for this other person, but we're going to show you all the tool sets. We're going to it's like walking into Home Depot. Here's all the tools. We're going to place them in front of you, but you have to pick out what works for you and your project that you want to tackle, what you want to take away from it. And that's kind of like any skill or craft in life, is there's a million and one ways to do something, but you have to choose what works for you, you know? You have to craft your own toolbox is what I'm trying to say. And I'm trying to craft my own toolbox right now mentally in terms of my views and my beliefs. Not so much like politically and shit, but like just about life and my mindset. I want to think like a winner and act like a winner and be a fucking winner. That's the biggest, that's pretty much the motto of this podcast, is I want to be the biggest, the baddest, and the best. And I want y'all to be the biggest, the baddest, and the best. What are ways that I can be more efficient in reaching my goal of being the biggest, the baddest, and the best? And so those are what I'm adding to my toolbox, ways to be more efficient. And a lot of those ways that I've learned is really just fucking like discipline is probably the key one. Discipline, consistency, which is a lot of stuff I've preached. But last year I would get up here and preach discipline and consistency. But was I disciplined and consistent all of last year? I was more disciplined and consistent than most, I'd like to say. I believe that. But I still wasn't working as hard as others. That's kind of like when I had Dario here, that's what he said. He said, yeah, I'm disciplined in the terms that I'm producing 5 days a week. But he's like, there's people that are doing it way more. And that's kind of my mindset. It's like I came back at him with comparison is the thief of joy, and that's very true. But also comparing myself lets me know what standard and caliber I should be holding myself to. And a lot of the calibers and standards I'm holding myself to are not out of the realm of possibility. It's very realistic goals that I can achieve. What's holding me back from achieving those goals, though? Most of the time, it's me. It's my discipline. It's my consistency. I have a friend, a homegirl, and she was asking me like what I do for a living, all this stuff, and I was like, bro, I'm an actor and a model. I've reached a point in my career, luckily, where like that's been my bread and butter for the past year or two, you know? And she's like, damn, that's crazy. She's like, I've always thought about like modeling, and I've had a lot of people tell me to model. This was last year. I've had a lot of people tell me to model. Like, how do you get into that? And I just kind of had like a 5-minute conversation with her, like breaking it down. I was like, get some good photos, get some headshots, start submitting to agencies. Like I told her everything to do. I laid this shit out. Like, you can't fuck this up, bro. This is a bulletproof plan. I laid it out for her. And I was like, let me know how it goes. And she was like, all right, cool. And then like I was talking to her yesterday. She works at the gym I go to. And she's like, you still model? I was like, yeah. She's like, fuck, man, I like really want to get into it. And I'm like, I told you a year ago what you have to do, bro. I told you a year ago what you have to do. Because like the rest is in your hands. My dad has this amazing saying where it's like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can cook a man a fish and he'll eat for a night, or you can teach him how to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. That's kind of what I was doing with this homegirl. I love her to death. I was like, but like I laid it out all perfectly. But if you don't want to make ends meet on your half, like I did my part to help you out, but if you don't want to be helped, I can no longer help you, you know? Like, don't, and this is, I'm not hating on her or anything, because this is what I've done my whole life. I think about wanting to do something and the thought is so nice and I'm like, I'm going to do that. That's where I see myself, and I never take action to get there. And that's something that I've been doing this year, is taking action to get to the goals that I want. Because goals are like, they're great to have, but you're never going to reach it without action. You're never going to reach it without execution. You shouldn't have a goal. You should have a fucking game plan, bro. You should have a literal roadmap of how to get to that goal. The goal is the end destination, but you need to have the journey planned out. That's like me saying, oh, I want to fly to New York, or I want to get to New York. That's my goal. I want to visit New York. I'm going to get there. But then never setting an itinerary for myself and buying a plane ticket, booking a hotel, looking at places, things to do there, or just having a game plan for how to get there. It's like saying I want to backpack Europe and then never even looking at places I want to visit, looking at places where it's cheaper, crunching numbers, not even cheaper, depending on your budget, but like crunching numbers or booking Airbnbs, planes, whatever. Like, the roadmap is not there. The itinerary is not there. So just saying I want this to happen is not, it ain't gonna happen, Playboy. It's just not gonna happen, you know? It's like The Secret, bro. The Secret is hilarious because it's like, y'all know The Secret, where if you just believe some shit is gonna happen to you, and if you just, I'm thinking about it, so it's gonna happen. Thinking about it is the first step. Taking action is the step that's actually going to get you there, though. Because if you think about something for a lifetime, you just spent a lifetime thinking about something you wanted, but you never actually did something to get you to that place. All right, I'm going to hit this quick intermission. I'm kind of ranting on this one, but I'm going to hit this intermission and let's get back into it, all right? Let's steer this back into my original train of thought, though. My first year of this podcast, bro, I didn't listen to any podcasts, and that's because I didn't want to be a fucking copycat, or I didn't want to mimic or jack anyone else's style. It's like I wanted this to be completely authentically me, and I wanted it to be unique. And I feel like I've kind of reached a point with this podcast where it's like if you're a consistent listener and you tune in a lot, we have our own little inside jokes like La Frequencia, and like my co-host Negrito Baby, who's right over there. He's in a different chair, bro, sleeping, but he's so cute, man. I love him. But it's like we got that. Like you've been through it. We've set stuff up. Like it do be a podcast. Like we got all these little jokes that we can crack with each other and stuff. And I've made it authentically me. I've put a lot of my personality and my sense of being into this. And I like that. And now that I'm incorporating just listening to podcasts back into my life, I've been like inspired to like dive deeper. Now that I have the podcast up and running and it's on the ground and we're going to hit like 40 episodes soon, bro. It's not too far off. We're going to be at 40 episodes. That's crazy. That's so insane to me, dude. But like now I can start to incorporate other outside forces now that I have the skeletal outline, the aura, the feeling of what is the Frequency podcast. Now that that's under wraps and I have a concept of that, we can start to build upon that. And it took me, really, it took me a fucking year of just figuring out this craft. But I'm glad I started, bro. And this is something I preach 1,000,001 times, and something that I've just kind of been reassured of now that I am putting out these YouTube videos and stuff. Which, by the way, if you're watching the YouTube videos, bro, mad love and mad respect for you, homie, because I really do appreciate that, bro. It's something that it's a new medium, you know, and I thought it would be easy. I'm not sure if I've talked about this already, but I thought it would be easy. And I sat down in front of the camera and I just like a deer in the headlights. I just froze up, bro, because I find it so easy to get in this chair and talk out of my ass for an hour and just kind of spit, you know, whatever I want to talk about, babosadas or nuggets or some motivational stuff. But then when I really streamline and have a script and all this stuff, it feels, at least for now, a little more like there's more pressure to get it right, especially like when the time length or when the content is shorter. You kind of want it to be more dialed in and more perfect and faster and grip your attention and keep you hooked so you don't click off after like a minute or two. And with the podcast, it's a little more loosey-goosey. It's a little more streamlined. It's like the train of thoughts as they're happening, as opposed to like the thoughts are already there. The delivery now has to be there to get the point across. The jokes have to hit. The punchline and all this stuff has to be there. And so do the nuggets. The nuggets have to be impactful, insightful, but you have to portray them and get them across in a shorter amount of time. So there's like, at least in my mind, there's like no room for error with the YouTube videos. And then with the podcast, it's like, it's like I said, it's a train of thought. You're kind of viewing and listening and witnessing these thoughts as they come into my mind. And because of that, I feel more comfortable talking about stuff. I don't feel as constricted or as boxed in, I guess. But that's something that I obviously have to overcome with the YouTube videos. I don't think it should feel like that at all. But it's a new medium. I'm learning something new, bro. When I first started this, I had no idea what the fuck was going on, and it was hard and stressful. But now this is simple. This is a simple task. This used to be like stress level 10, the podcast, and like editing and doing all that stuff, and it stressed me out. And now I'm like, oh, I gotta handle the podcast real quick. Knock that shit out in a day. Knock that shit out quick. Like after this, I'm gonna go to the gym, come back, eat, edit the podcast, upload it. Like it's simple, bro. I could get the shit done quick, but it took me a few months, and it took consistency, and it took practice, and it took just doing it over and over and over and over again to get there. And that's how I know the YouTube videos are going to be. Right now, it takes me almost as long as a podcast. It takes me like about an hour of filming and doing stuff to cut it down to a video that's like 8 minutes, you know? But I'm having fun with it. And again, it's pushing myself out of my comfort zone to do something that I've wanted to do forever, bro. I've wanted to do it forever, and I got tired of talking about it. And that's a massive point I want to get across in this podcast is whatever you have set in your mind, a new endeavor, a creative outlet, something that you want to achieve or try, stop fucking talking about it, bro. Stop. Like, literally, you're making other people are tired of hearing you talk and seeing no action. Don't tell people what you want to do anymore. That's past me. I'm not doing that shit anymore, bro, because I got tired of me feeling embarrassed telling people that I'm going to do this and then never doing that shit. Like, don't talk about it, be about it. Don't talk about it, be about it. And I feel like I say that now at least once every podcast, but it's like, it's fucking true, man. And it really is that simple and that easy. And it all starts with your discipline. And that's something I've been very happy that I'm kind of getting under wraps and under control, is my discipline. And now that I'm like starting to post consistently on YouTube, like one video a week, I'm trying to hit one video a week and one podcast a week. That's my goal. Now that I'm on YouTube though, like when I'm uploading my video or when I log into my account, it's like all these recommended videos are there. That's how YouTube works. Or like if I'm watching the playback on my video, all the recommended videos are in the side. And so I've dabbled to see how other creators make their videos because again, guys, I deleted YouTube off my phone. I don't have the app on my phone. But now that I'm using the platform, it's like, it's this push-pull, it's this bittersweet thing where it's like, I don't have the app, so I'm not really engaged, but I also kind of want to know what works in terms of getting views and content and stuff like that, editing little tips and tricks and secrets and stuff, because I want to get better at making videos. I don't want to be, now that I'm in it, I don't want to be releasing shit content and never grow. 2023 is the year of growth. 2023 is the year of continuing to push and pursue and make shit happen, bro. Like, we're grabbing you thought we grabbed 2022 by the balls? There was a lot of growth personally and a lot of self-improvement growth, but in terms of the channel and in terms of my social media and all that stuff, there was no growth. It's time to push that forward and start growing as a content creator. Let's see these numbers start to rise. Let's see actual, instead of just my friends and family watching, let's have strangers across the world, India, China, wherever the fuck, bro, in Europe. Like, I want a larger audience to engage with. And like I said, when you have a larger audience, I'm sure there's a lot of pros and cons that come with it. But one of the pros is wider range of thinking and of understanding different people and cultures and mindsets and stuff. And that's what I want this year, and I want to incorporate it into my content, and I want to grow. And that's my goal, bro. That's my goal. One video a week, one podcast a week, and unlimited, uncapped growth. I also want to do that through having more guests on the podcast. Obviously, I had Dario of Slang Dogs, and that's my homie though. Like, he was, before I even started a podcast, he's like, yeah, I'll get on. But now I want to like reach out to people that maybe I've never had a conversation with, but it's very possible in the realm of possibility that I can get them in the seat to have a conversation with me. That's the next move for this podcast, for the podcast to grow, because I'm so thankful and grateful for the pretty consistent numbers that I've had with this podcast. I know there's an audience there. Right now, it's a very small audience, but I'm thankful for any audience at all, and I'm thankful that people tune in weekly. I love that because my view counts and numbers have stayed fairly consistent throughout the past year, and they've gone up slightly. They're like slight growth. But I want to elevate that. I want to blow that shit out of the water, like double, triple, quadruple the growth this year. And I can obviously do that with having more guests. And I just like when Dario was here, man, he said something when the podcast was up. We were out eating afterwards, and he was like, yeah, man, that was so fun. He's like, I just feel kind of bad because like I feel like I didn't really ask you anything. Like I didn't give you many opportunities to talk. And I was like, bro, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad about that shit at all. I said, these motherfuckers are tired of hearing me talk, bro. I've talked for an hour every week by myself for the past year. I'm sure it was amazing to get a fresh perspective and fresh, just something new, something fresh in the mix, And that's what I want to do this year, is just keep it fresh. As much as I love to get up here and talk for an hour, there's times even where I'm like, bro, I got to spice this up. I got to have again, I got to have different viewpoints, different ways of thinking. I got to have different minds in this seat, people with different walks of life and different outlooks and different perspectives. Because I can't be so caught up in my own head, like this is what I think is law and I'm going to die on this hill and these are my beliefs for the rest of my life. Like, no, I want to get a motherfucker in the seat that challenges my beliefs, that shifts my perspective, that makes me think in a different light, that shines light on something I may have never even thought of or given much attention to, where I'm like, that is actually very valid and very interesting. Like, I was hanging out with Kale the other day, bro. I want to have him on the podcast again for his birthday. And he was telling me like the levels of consciousness. Like there's this whole like graph and there's this test that you can take that puts you on wherever you are on like the scale of consciousness. And I was like, that sounds crazy. It's something I had vaguely heard of before, but when he was sitting there and explaining it to me and I could tell he was like passionate and interested about this topic, it was very insightful. And I was like enlightened to hear about it. I was like, this is cool, man. And I took the test and I was excited to see where I was on like the stream of consciousness and what I can change about myself to elevate myself. He had it broken down to like a science though, bro. His shit was cool because he was like, yeah, man, like sometimes I think I can get to here, but then I know that thinking that I can get to here puts me down here because I'm portraying this element or this emotion. And he's like, and this emotion is at a lower vibration than this emotion. And he had it like a roadmap, bro. Again, like if his goal is to get higher in his stream of consciousness in this chart and in this data, he has to have a game plan to get there, bro. You all have to have a game plan to get somewhere. It shouldn't just like it's not over at goals. Write your goals down. I truly believe that, but have a fucking outline to achieve them, bro. Because goals are like dreams. They're nice and they're cool and like, yeah, that my dream is for example, my dream is to play Coachella, or my dream is to play EDC, or my dream is to have, a successful podcast, a thriving YouTube channel, to make that my career, to be financially independent, to be an entrepreneur through all of my endeavors, through all of my hobbies and passions and stuff. That's my dream. Cool. But don't talk about it, be about it. Dreams, what happens to a dream? You have a dream and you're living it and you're in it, but then you wake up, poof, like a cloud that just, poof, like in a cartoon, poof, it's fucking gone. It's fucking gone, and you wake up and you're in your same fucking regular, everyday, average fucking NPC life, bro. Is that where you're going to stay? You were just the man of the hour. You were just living out your dreams, and then you woke up and you were back in reality. How can we make our dreams a reality? You need a game plan, bro. You need a game plan, and once you got the game plan, you need action, and with action, you build momentum and consistency, and with momentum and consistency, it may take 1 year, it may take 5 years, bro. Again, I'm listening to a lot of podcasts now, and I'm listening to Modern Wisdom. The Modern Wisdom podcast is a fucking amazing podcast with, his name is Chris Williamson, I believe. If I'm fucking that up, whatever, but I know for a fact it's Modern Wisdom podcast, and he was doing a Q&A where he saw 96% of his growth from the podcast last year in 2022. And he's like, and that was just crazy to think about, that 96% of my listeners, of my audience right now, came in last year in the span of 1 year. But I've had this podcast and I've been working on this podcast and releasing consistently for 5 years now, going on 6. He's like, I've been doing this for 5 years, and it wasn't until last year that I saw actual engagement and audience and exponential growth. But it's like, some things you just have to stick with and be consistent with, bro. Anything worthwhile in life, man, you have to stick with and be consistent with, man. There's an amazing quote by Hamza. He's this fucking, like, I don't want to say outlandish, but he's very unfiltered self-improvement creator on YouTube, and I love that about him, bro. He doesn't hold back. He just says it like it is, and like if it tickles your asshole, bro, then so be it, bro. But like, he doesn't hold back. It's not for the faint of heart. But like, I love his content, and he has a clip, or this saying more so, where he goes, I remember I was having a conversation with one of my buddies. This is his story. He's like, I was having a conversation with one of my buddies and I was showing him these guys with like crazy fucking physiques and all this stuff. And he's like, we should get this. Like, I want to get there. Like, let's do this. Hit the gym with me. He said that he was embarrassed to go to the gym by himself, that he had a little home gym that his brother had built, but he was like, I wanted to go to like the nice gym because he's like, I wanted to work on social skills and talk to people, but more so I wanted to be in like an actual gym. But he's like, but I was afraid to go alone and I wanted my friends. I wanted to take someone with me and we could grow and build together, you know? And that his friend was like, yeah, that's like cool, but like, that looks like it's going to take too long. He said, that takes too long, straight up. And then Hamza was just like, oh, yeah, like whatever, yeah. But then he thought about it and he was like, yeah, it takes too long, but time's going to pass anyway. He's like, why would I look at this goal and just think, oh, it takes too long to get there, so I'm not even going to try. He said, time's going to pass regardless, whether you're doing the steps to get there or not. He said, do I want 3 years to pass and I've made zero progress towards being a shredded cunt? Or do I want to put in the work every day and 3 years pass and I'm a shredded cunt? He said, do I want this version of myself that's reaching their potential, that's like smashing goals and living their dreams and not being limited by their thoughts, like, oh, time's gonna pass, not being limited by like dumb shit. He said, do I want to live this version of myself or this version of myself that was like, it's gonna take too long, so I'm not even gonna bother doing it. Time's gonna pass regardless. How you fill that time is what's going to be the ultimate factor of where your life ends up. It's like, are you gonna fill that time sitting around playing tickle dick and grab ass all fucking day? It like, bro, spending 9+ hours. The average screen time for the average American, bro, is 5+ hours a day is your average screen time. You know what you could do with 5 hours? Most of that screen time too is social media, is just surfing, TikTok, IG, just dumb shit, bro. Do you know what you could do with an extra 5? If I came up to you and I said, hey, you know, when you're working towards goals and shit, it can be kind of hard to manage your time because sometimes it can seem like there's not enough time in the day. What if I told you I could give you 5 extra hours a day? Instead of 24 hours, it's 29. You have 29 hours in the day now. You'd be like, oh, fuck, that's amazing, bro. I have so much time to get more shit done. Hey, I got a news for you, bro. Get off your fucking phone and you have 5 more hours throughout your day. Astonishing. I'm tired of hearing people say like, oh, I don't have the time to do this. They're like, oh, I didn't do this because I don't have time. Hey, motherfucker, you're on your phone for 5 hours a day. It's not that you don't have time. It's that you're not willing to make the time. You are like invested in and distracted with so much other bullshit where yes, you do have fucking time, bro. I'm tired of hearing about it. You have fucking time. Figure it out. And that's something that I had to figure out for myself. Is like when I told you I would be like in this almost like third person existential version of myself, looking at myself on social media and thinking, why are you doing this? You have shit. You have work to do. Stop sitting around playing tickle dick and grab ass, bro. Like, get on your laptop and fucking edit this video. Get in here and record your podcast. Get in the fucking gym and grind that shit out and reach the physique and the body that you want. If you're tired of being fucking a little socially awkward, even now, bro, I'm trying to increase my social skills to an ungodly fucking sense where I can talk to anybody, not be afraid to talk to anyone. And like I said, the gym sometimes is the only place that I go throughout my day. Like, I'll go outside and I'll be in the sun or whatever. But like, realistically, where I encounter people, it's the gym. It's my goal to talk to someone new every fucking day. And even if the conversation is terrible or whatever the fuck, it's my goal to be a conversationalist, because you're only going to get better with social skills if you actually apply and try to work on your social skills, bro. Like, I'm trying to elevate every aspect of my life. And I didn't even fucking get into it, bro. Real quick before I get off. This is something that I'm seeing a lot now that I'm posting on YouTube, is the recommended videos. And a lot of the recommended videos are of monk mode. And that's where you just kind of like take 3 to 6 to even a year off, and you don't focus on girls, you don't focus on anything, bro. You don't focus on video games. You cut out all the bad habits, and it's strictly a time to be hermited and focus on self-improvement, focus on yourself, start your business, start your endeavors, go to the gym. Just like you don't have time or energy or focus or attention left for anything that does not benefit you. And I completely believe in you should have periods of monk mode in your life if you want to push further, in your life. But when I really was watching some of these videos, I was like, I've kind of been fucking doing this for like a year already, bro. I've kind of been doing this for like this year. I plan on being in monk mode most of the fucking year, bro. Like for Kale's birthday, that was my first time going to a bar in the longest time. And it was weird because I don't drink anymore. I don't drink and I have a girlfriend. What fucking business do I have being in this bar? Besides my homie's party, obviously, it's his birthday. I was there to like support and enjoy that time, and I did. And we were with a group of friends, and I enjoyed myself. I had a good time. But you're not gonna catch me doing that shit all the time. It has no value. It brings no value to me anymore. And I left early, and there were like this girl in our group. She asked me, she's like, "Oh, why are you leaving?" I was like, "I got to be up early." And she's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm recording a YouTube video." And she kind of gave me like this look like, "Oh, like, okay." And it's like, if you don't understand the vision, I don't need you to understand the vision. But when I've reached the levels of success that I know this discipline and this consistency and this drive is going to get me to, don't sit around and be asking, "Oh, how did he do it?" Like while you're on your phone for 5 hours a day and giving people the stank eye when they tell you their dreams and aspirations and shit and what they're doing, bro. Like, motherfuckers can't be like, don't be surprised or confused when time passes and you're nowhere near where you want to be, because it takes too long. It takes too long. I don't have enough time, and all your time is spent on your phone. Like, I'm tired of hearing these excuses, bro. And I'm saying it to y'all, but most importantly, like I said, a lot of the shit that gets said on this podcast is lessons that I've learned, and I'm talking to myself most of the time. I'm tired of hearing fucking excuses, man. I'm tired of hearing fucking excuses. So I had to really sit down and internalize what's wasting my time, what's making me feel a little more depressed, what's releasing a little more dopamine than it should be releasing. And I cut that shit out of my life. And it's fucking grind time, and it's monk mode, bro. And I hope you guys listen to this podcast and watch and be like, "Oh, this motherfucker's working. I should start working." Because you should. Because everybody's like, "Oh, I'm in competition with myself and myself only." Bullshit. You're in competition with everybody, bro. You're in competition with everybody. And there's motherfuckers that are out working with you, and they will have no sympathy when they smoke you in the race, bro. So get off your ass and start doing whatever the fuck you want to do, bro. And I'm here to support you. And I'm here always sending love and positive energy your way. But we got to do the work, fellas and ladies, if you're listening to this, whoever it is. But as always, man, thank you for listening. And I'll catch you on the next one. I will catch you on the next one.